one more time.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is your truly TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and I have a special guest with me here on the State of the Saints podcast. I have six-time Pro Bowler, four-time first-team All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, Jahri Evans. What's going on, Jahri?
What's up, man? How you doing? Who that, baby?
Hey, who that all day? I appreciate you for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. Just want to talk to you about the team, man, and also, man, just talk a little bit about you, man. How's retirement? That's my first question. How's retirement for the first four-time first-team All-Pro?
It's going well. Just back here in the state of Pennsylvania. Spending time with family and friends, and just doing some things I wasn't able to do during my career, riding some dirt bikes, some four-wheelers, getting my extreme sports on out here, but all good, man. Getting a lot of golfing in, and looking forward to this upcoming season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I had Jermaine Bushride on the show a couple days ago, and he talked about golf, man. I mean, what is it? What is it about golf? I mean, he was golfing, and now you're talking about your golfing. What is it about golf? That everybody seems to love. What is it to you?
I was just actually in Virginia playing in his tournament. I think because it's so tough, man. It's a hard game to play. It's one of the hardest, obviously, games to actually play well. Right. But it's the ability to get out, being outside, being in the elements, and just competing. Having a conversation on a golf course, meeting people, and talking about other things, about life or business and stuff like that. But I think just the toughness of the game, and it's one of those sports where it's all you. So you ain't got nobody to blame but yourself.
I tried to play golf before. I go to like one of those driving ranges. Man, it is just so tough to play. Just to hit the ball and what I'm saying, with accuracy, and precision. Like I couldn't do it, man. it was tough. It was tough. But once again, like, thank you very much for being a part of the podcast, and just to talk a little bit about football. I mean, we're back, man. NFL is back. I mean, it took a while. No preseason games, but we're about to have our first regular season game on tomorrow. When time started, picking up with the NFL, do you miss the NFL, miss playing and miss competing?
Yeah, man. I always miss putting these hands on somebody and just dominate another defensive lineman. But yeah, you miss the locker room, you miss the games, you miss the being on TV, performing, and most importantly, you miss winning. And playing football for 20 years, something that you just wake up every morning getting ready to do. My body feels great right now not playing, but those things you miss a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely miss you out there on the field, man. I mean, dominating. And there was some of the best times for me as a Saints fan, watching you do your thing, in the trenches, man. No doubt about that.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, but I want to go back to you being drafted by the New Orleans Saints in 2006. Now, me, I was born and raised in New Orleans. I mean, it was a year removed from Hurricane Katrina. Mm-hmm. I mean, what were your thoughts? I mean, being drafted by the New Orleans Saints, knowing that the city of New Orleans was dealing with what they were dealing with. What was going through the mind of a young Jahri Evans?
Yeah, I remember, I drove down there from Philadelphia. I drove in and kind of really saw everything firsthand. My family's from Georgia, but not really being down the South majority of my life. Just to see the things that people in that area go through as far as hurricanes and devastation, and how sometimes the mentality is a year-to-year mentality with a lot of folks. And I just remember going to OTAs and getting acclimated to the heat. That was huge for me, coming from the Poconos, playing in the cold state. And and then going to Jackson, Mississippi, and
Right.
I having one of the longest training camps I think in NFL history for any player,
Right.
6 weeks down there, and then once again the heat, and then coming back to the dome and understanding, um, that we needed to win now. We need to win
Right.
for us as players. We wanted to win, but for the community, we need to win. We need to uplift everybody's spirits and understanding that they went through some very hard times, and we did that. And
Right.
I think people forget that '06 season, man. We were half away from the Super Bowl, so
Yeah.
we just built on that. Coaches understood it. The staff, I think, upper management understood the type of players that we had, and we just added things to the team to get us over that hump. And luckily, 4 years later, we were able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's one game that always sticks in the mind of New Orleans Saints fan, and that is the first game back in the Superdome. Before we move on to talk about that Super Bowl, can you take us back to that game? Monday Night Football against the Atlanta Falcons, and just the crowd, and just take us back to that moment for you.
Yeah, it was electrifying. Coach Payton was always good at trying to make sure that the stage wasn't too big for us. So he brought us into the Superdome. I think maybe like Thursday or Friday earlier that week. He played some clips on the jumbotron of players and then of the city and things like that. But it getting coming out of that tunnel for that game and preparing for that game, there was no mindset of us losing. Like there was no way that we were going to lose this game. It was just everybody was just dialed in and focused, and we just knew like this is the first game back in the city. All the stuff we went through in training camp, this is the home rivals and the Falcons. You got Vic coming in, nationally televised game. There was no way we were going to lose this game, and we prepared for it to really go out there and execute. And I think you saw that in all phases of that game, offense, defense, and special teams, just us executing and guys making plays and containing Michael Vick and being able to get a big W.
Yeah, definitely. I just watched that year. At the time I was a junior at Jackson State University, ironically,
Okay, yeah.
right out there in Jackson, Mississippi, where you guys were. And I can just remember, like, being a Saints fan all those years, I was like, man, this team's something different. This is something different that I'm not used to seeing. And, I was really impressed and I was really happy. And that was one of the, even though, like you say, you all were one game away from the Super Bowl. I mean, I just knew for a fact that something was going to be different in the Saints organization with Drew Brees, Sean Payton, yourself, and so many other guys. And it was. I mean, a couple of years later, you all won the Super Bowl. So, I mean,
right.
How was that for you? Winning the Super Bowl, bringing a Super Bowl title. I mean, to what a lot of people consider the snake-bitten franchise.
It meant a lot. It was. I've been on very successful teams in high school here in Philadelphia and then in college, and I've never won a championship. So for me to go out there and accomplish that and be the best in the world at what we've done and what I do, it meant a lot. And also just you think about how many great players come to the league and none of them have rings.
Right.
So it was a huge accomplishment, and I think just us being close in '06 and the guys that were still part of the team when we won it, we knew that we had to get it done, because it's very rare that the opportunity comes around that many times. And it's I think about it now, like I feel like I should have 2 or 3 of those things with the offense that we had. So
Yeah, that's true.
it makes it even more special, because I remember as a rookie, like I'm like, man, we're going to be in the playoffs every year. The next 2
Right.
years we did make the playoffs, and then
Right.
going to the Super Bowl, I'm like, man, we're going to be in the Super Bowl for the rest of my career. And then we don't, you know what I mean? How hard it is to actually get there. So it meant a lot for us.
Yeah.
And I didn't know much about the Saints franchise growing up in Eagles country and being an
Right.
Eagles fan growing up.
Right.
But the Saints had some good teams. They were just in the NFC West with those
Right.
49ers,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
True.
to give that region, something that they always see the Super Bowl being played in the Superdome, and it's never their team. So to be able
Right.
to actually get that Super Bowl championship, man, the only thing I can think about is, man, I need to get back to New Orleans, get on Bourbon Street, seeing the videos in Miami, everybody on Bourbon Street. I'm like, it's time to party. But it was awesome, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a great moment for Saints fans everywhere. I mean, like I said, including myself, I was born and raised in New Orleans. And, even though New Orleans, like you said, they played in the NFC West, I mean, they
Yeah.
were a defensive dominated team. I mean,
Right.
about the Dome Patrol, the classic defense they had. You guys brought a very different dynamic than we ever seen. The Saints always went on for defense, but when you had a high-powered, very exciting offense, and like I say, you guys in the trenches, I mean, pushing those guys back, like it was fun time as a Saints fan, watching that. And one thing on Jahri, that I have to commend you on is the fact that you never missed the NFL game ever.
Yeah.
Like, how do you stay prepared? I mean, you hear about guys getting injured. I mean, especially playing on the offensive line, guys get rolled, legs get rolled over. I mean, just so many different type of injuries. But what did you do to make sure that you were prepared to start every single game of your career? That's amazing, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I only missed 9 games. I missed 2 in Green Bay, the last 2 of the season.
Right.
Just Aaron wasn't playing, and I had a little ding up. But with New Orleans, I only missed 7 games in 11
Right.
years.
Wow.
And the best availability, the best durability is availability, and
Right.
I've always worked on my body, made sure that I took care of myself during the week and see my chiropractors, my massage therapist. But I think, me being an exercise science major, that's what my bachelor is in, and being in the athletic training room and working with those guys throughout my whole 5 years in college and understanding, different medical things. I was able to have a different dialogue with the training room when things came up. And then just understanding my position as an offensive lineman, that you got to be aware of your surroundings, be aware of keeping your feet moving. I always had coaches always preach me on that, and me being the guy that's always trying to finish guys, I'm always moving. I'm never like just stalemate in my block. I'm always trying to push forward and make sure those guys don't get into play. And just the way I worked out, I think me and my I've trained with 3 companies my whole career. I trained with Pete Bomarito down there in Miami very early on, and a couple times, and then Exos with Dr. Andrews. But I've always before training camp, I always came back home and trained with my trainer since college at I have a personal training company here in Philly. So we've had it for 15 years with Julius King of All Fitness. So the way we prepared for training camp and getting my body ready for the season, knowing that there's going to be a lot of battles. We just trained different. I trained a lot of the small muscles, ligaments and tendons and things like that, the attachment things, just with on unstable surfaces, whether if it was on Bosu balls or just unstable surfaces. And I think that really helped me in my career stay healthy.
All right. I mean, just the fact that you can just blurt out the games that you missed. I mean, some guys you can't even do that for, Jahri. Like, I mean, you just, but it's just amazing, like the durability, that you had. I mean, being able to be there and being available, on the offensive line, all of those great offensive line teams that the Saints had. I mean, you played a very integral role in that. So,
Thanks,
it's just amazing. For that.
Yeah.
I want to fast forward and talk about today's offensive line, the New Orleans Saints. I mean, you have some veterans. You have Teron Armstead, left tackle, Ryan Ramczyk. Like, you can consider him being a veteran now. But then you have Andres Pete. But then you have the 2 young guys. You have Eric McCoy and you have Cesar Ruiz, who the Saints just recently drafted. And it seems like Cesar Ruiz is going to eventually become the center of the New Orleans Saints. But, I mean, we don't know if he's going to play center or guard. How tough is it for a young player to come in and play the center position right away?
It depends on the unit that you have. For me, as a guard, my rookie year and coming from Division II, it was a little tough for me to get the terminology down, but I had a Jeff Fain and I had a John Stinchcomb, 2 very smart players next to me that we communicated with each other. Then you got a Drew Brees behind you who's going to make sure it gets you lined up. That's why we get to the line with enough time so he can assess the defense and get everybody in the right direction. So, they're going to rely on, this is McCoy's second year and Ruiz first year. I think they got Ruiz at guard. But, he's going to rely on Ramczyk. He's going to rely on, McCoy next to him. And then you got the vets over there and Pete and the Pro Bowlers and Pete and Armstead. And they're going to rely on those guys to be in the be in the classroom during the week so that when they get on the field, they can have that one word communication that's quick enough to get everybody on the same page.
Right.
And when you got that General Drew Brees back there, he's going to take care of you and make sure you know where to go. That
Right.
helps. You ain't got no rookie back there, or nobody
Right.
that's not in their playbook. Drew
Right.
knows the playbook in and out, and so he's going to get those guys on the right page. And I'm excited to see those guys, man. They I commend the Saints on how they were able to get quality guys back up front to make sure that Drew can do what he does.
Yeah.
Because we all know, we got to keep that front lane clear for Drew so he can deliver
Right.
the ball and stuff
Right.
like that. And they've really done a good job. And Teron, man, he really motivated me when I was there, just seeing how great of an athlete he is and how
Man.
well his feet were, man. And
Right.
he's a boss, man. And then when I trained when he came to Pensacola and we trained, I got to see how strong he was. It was very surprising. But,
Right.
those guys, you can see that those guys know how to communicate with each other. And
Right.
the one thing we always did up front is we spent a lot of time with each other off the field too, and that helps when you get in the game day.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, you guys had really good chemistry. That team from '06, to 2010 on back. But this team seems like this offensive line. I mean, it seems like they're building them. I mean, a young Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz. I mean, they seem like they're coming into their own as well. Like, I think that they're almost where you guys were. I'm sorry. Right now, I think your line was better, but I mean, they're
Yeah,
getting there, no doubt about it.
yeah, it's a little early, man.
Right,
Me, Carl, and Goody, man. We
man.
were some big guys up front, and listen, Carl, that guy, listen, I've seen this guy spin around the heaviest offensive lineman and sit him down, man. The way he can just control guys, and he also had great feet. And
Right,
both me and Carl played tackles in college, so
right.
I think that. Moving us inside in the league, kind of helped us with, just us being mobile tackles and putting us inside. We were able to get the job done very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the screen game, my friend.
Yeah,
I mean, ooh,
yeah,
with Pierre Thomas, man. Oh, I'm getting
yeah.
chilled just thinking about it, man. But
BT Cruiser.
exactly. I mean, I just think that the Saints offenses, I mean, like I said, it's starting to reach their stride on the
Yeah.
offensive line. And I mean, guys are going to grow and develop and become, much better. Let's talk about the defensive line. I want to talk about a guy that, I mean, you actually seen him develop, and that's Cam Jordan. I mean, he came into the league in 2011, and now he is known as probably one of the best defensive ends in football. What is it about Cam Jordan that you've seen from him being young, getting drafted right out of California, to the player that he is now? What do you see out of Cam Jordan? What makes him such a great player?
His work ethic, how he practices, and he has a will to compete. He wants to beat you. He wants to get home to the QB. He works
Right,
on his hands. His ability to be able to move inside and cover up the guard and rush on the guard.
right,
And just being able to get better each and every day. That's what I saw with Cam and going against Cam is his willingness to get better every day.
right,
And his dad was a good player,
right,
and so he has that in him, that drive in him. And Cam's the beast, man. I'm looking
yeah,
forward to him getting a sack a game. I told him that, like,
yeah,
he should get a sack a game, man, and he works hard at it. And you see it.
yeah,
He when he doesn't even get a sack, he's close to getting one. Like, he's getting
yeah,
home, like he's touching the QB. And that's one thing that I noticed in practice with him is he always has to touch the QB. I should get him like, hey,
yeah.
don't touch him, man. Don't. The ball's out here. Don't touch him. He always got to touch him. He's like, I got to touch him. I just got to touch him. so he. And that gets on to the other guys and the younger
Yeah.
guys, and they want to get better and they want to do better. And he's a great leader, and he's been that way since he got there.
Yeah, I mean, I love Cam Jordan. I talked to John DeShazer about Cam Jordan. He talked about his work ethic and how hard he works, in practice and staying late in order to,
Right.
perfect his craft. So, I mean, you can always tell the guys, the good ones from the great ones, the ones that go that extra mile. I mean, you hear about it. You hear about, they're just that thirst to want to be the best. And,
Yep.
I get that from Cam Jordan. I mean, you mentioned a young player. Marcus Davenport is a guy going into his third season. A lot of people think that he is that guy, to replace Cam Jordan one day. Of course, about the Saints being linked to Jadeveon Clown. They're trying to bring him in.
Yeah.
But do you think that this is some motivation for Marcus Davenport? Them trying to go out to get a guy, play the same position as you, and you know you're probably going to be splitting reps with him. Do you think that would motivate Marcus Davenport to possibly play up to real, true, full potential?
It could. It could. I think, but as a pro, I think we don't need that. We don't. Some players do get motivated that way. I was never that player. I was a
Right.
self-motivated player. I don't
Oh,
care
you
who
was a
you.
beast, man. You was a beast. You
Yeah,
ain't worry
I
about
don't care
that.
whoever you brought in, they wasn't gonna beat me out. It wasn't even no question about that. You know what I mean? So I don't care who you bring in, they're not gonna beat
Right.
me out. But yeah, that could motivate him. I just think he had a couple injuries early on that maybe kind of, he wasn't able to get in his groove the way he wanted to. But
Right.
you know, he's going to be able. He's going to have his shot to do some good things.
Right.
The one thing is that they're going to the offense is going to get up and they're going to be able to rush the QB, and that's what they
Right.
want.
Right.
The more points you put up on offense, the more times the other team's going to have to attempt to pass on them. So they're going to get their opportunity to get after the QB, and when Cam has two guys on him, that's when those guys got to step up. Rankins,
Right.
all those guys inside, and even the linebackers too. So I think he should have a good year. We'll see.
Right.
But those guys should do well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at the New Orleans Saints, Jahri, over the last couple of years, I mean, going into the playoffs ended in heartbreak. I mean, from 2017 on to last year. I mean,
Yeah.
how can this team stay motivated? To not allow things that happened in the past, the Minneapolis Miracle, the 9 call game again against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself motivated to reach that brass ring, which is a Super Bowl title? What do they have to do?
You just have the mindset you control what you can control.
Yeah.
Maybe you can make a couple, make some better plays early in the game to where you don't leave it in the hands of the refs. That's one thing
Right.
we always try to do is like not leave it in the hands of the refs.
Right.
They're humans too, and they make
Right.
mistakes. You would think that they would get them all right, especially when they can go to the booth, but
Right.
doing the necessary things, that little thing that's going to make sure that you're in control of what happens and you don't leave it in the hands of the refs. So maybe it's just getting out to a faster start or understanding, momentum swings and getting that one stop when you really, really need it, or taking the ball away, or just making sure everybody's on the same page, that you don't have breakdowns. And you just got to go out there and play, man. You got to, put that in the rear view, learn from it, take it in, learn from it, and just be better because of what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. One player that the Saints have that I feel like going to add to this team is Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins played with the New Orleans Saints. They actually won a Super Bowl in his rookie year. And he went to Philadelphia, played 6 years. Now he's back. I mean, we know about the person that Malcolm Jenkins is on the field, but off the field, you see him handling a lot of these social justice issues. Jahri, I see you tweeting, you talk about a lot of these social justice issues. How important is it for athletes to use their platform in order for them to spread awareness about social justice? And do you feel like the NFL is doing enough to try to assist these players in making, social justice a relevant thing in our society?
Well, it's good to see that the NFL is doing more than they were doing 4 or 5 years ago and previous. And it's good that it's great to see that the athletes are speaking up and talking about these things. Because what we have to realize is that a lot of the pro athletes, whether it be football, basketball, are from these inner city communities, have families that live in these inner city communities. None of our families have ever seen or touched the money that we've touched, or been out of the country like we have done, or traveled into certain areas. So it's important for us to enrich, their understanding and share the knowledge that we have, and that we have growing, coming up in our careers. So the one thing I commend Malcolm on is, he's about it. He's been in the Philadelphia community for a long time, and he was actually in the community. He was in these offices with these politicians. He was reading these policies. He's seen how hard it is to act as far as on pencil and paper, and get things down. And I respect that about him, and I support him, throughout the whole way. And it's good that guys are taking that time, because it's not easy, and it is time away from their family. and they're still doing those things. And I was happy when the Saints picked him up, and he was happy too. He was happy to be back in New Orleans. He knows the city, he knows the coaches, he's comfortable. You know what I mean? And he's on a contender. You know, that's all you want. You just want to be on a contender. That's why I went to Green Bay. You know what I mean? So he's going to do some great things, and he got some young guys that's there to where he ain't got to do all the running around either. He can make some, probably, coaches and DA, they're going to put him in some spots to make some unique plays and to use his ability, to maximize his ability in this stage of his career, and he can bring some knowledge to those young guys on the things that he's experienced on the field to where they can be better. So, I think he's going to be kind of like what Roman was for us. That linebacker kind of safety guy, filling the gaps in the run game and being able to cover some some big tight ends or some guys that are faster than linebackers. You know what I mean? So he's going to be able to do some things, man, and it's going to be exciting to see him back in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, Malcolm is a smart football player. I mean, everybody, that talks about Malcolm Jenkins, they always talk about how much respect they have. Even Sean Payton. Sean Payton said, I mean, him letting him go was like one of the worst decisions of his career as a coach. So, I mean, I think that's.
You don't want to get me on some of those player decisions that we done made and bringing in guys and letting go guys. It's ridiculous. But
I mean, but it's just the truth, though. I mean, how much of respect, he has for Malcolm Jenkins. And I will say this, Jahri, as far as like with the social issues, I mean, sports has always been at the forefront of all of these things. I mean, you think about Jackie Robinson breaking a color barrier. You think about Muhammad Ali. You think about Jim Brown. Like all those guys, they were so important to the change that was going on. Rather, it was during the Jim Crow times. I mean, we see with Colin Kaepernick, what he has done, in today's times. And I commend you all, because you easily say, I'm a football player, I'm good, you know what I'm saying? I got my 3 hots in the kite, I'm straight. But you use your platform in order to, bring, attention to some of these things that are going on in these areas. And I think sometimes people, those shut up and dribble type folks, they don't pay attention to the fact that, I mean, you come from these areas, you know what I'm saying? You're fortunate and you're blessed enough to, get out of the situations, but there's still people back there that are still going through these situations. And I commend you all for doing that. The final question I want to ask you about is Drew Brees. I mean, you played with Drew Brees and you were coached by Sean Payton for a very long time. What is it about these two guys that just makes their dynamic so special?
Yeah, people see Drew out there throwing those passes, but that's really Coach Payton out there. Coach Payton, he be dialing his quarterback days back up. He be like, "That's me in that helmet," So, but no, those two, man, it was interesting, just to see how our offense grew and how their minds grew together, in New Orleans. And I think you do see that quarterback mind in Coach Payton, who was a former quarterback. And the time that those two put in off the field, just in the classroom, like, Drew's the first one in there. He's the last one out of there. He puts in tremendous amount of time in film study. And they put tremendous amount of time in together and breaking things down and concepts and stuff like that. So I think you see two elite guys, two elite men who have a connection, who understand each other's strengths as play calling and strengths as a quarterback, and they put the pieces around to execute. And you see that, they can read each other's mind and they know where to go with things. And then sometimes Drew calls his own number. Very few. That's when you see him get on the sideline. He's like, "What you doing?" But it works sometimes. But you really see Peyton out there, living out his QB dreams through Drew.
Right. I mean, but it's just been special to watch those two, just run that offense, all these years going into year 15. And, it's been fun to watch the offenses over the years. I mean, including yourself. And I just hope that they can get enough offense on the field along with a good defense so we can make our way to Tampa this year. We're looking forward to that. But Jahri, thank you so much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. And before you go, just want to just let everybody know how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, Jahri Evans on Twitter, on Instagram is j.evans73, and Facebook is Jahri Evans.
Okay, and thank you so much for your time once again, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, 6-time Pro Bowl, 4-time first team All Pro. I mean, the accolades go on and on. We ain't got all day.
Yes, sir.
Jahri Evans, thank you so much once again for being a part of the State of the Saints
Thank you, man.
podcast. Thank you, man.
Have a good one.